Al'waiz Riyaz Sahib, we welcome you to our platform for
Mal-
new book study. Ya Ali Madad.
Malani Madat, Malani Madat. Yali Madat, all our Ilmi friends. And it was really very inspiring to see that you all are really doing good in learning Ayatul Kursi. And it just reminded me some of the Ilmi points related to this very beautiful and esoteric Quranic verses. And I'm sure that you have heard from Nevin Saiba and Nemat Saiba about the importance of Ayatul Kursi. And just for your reference, there is an article in Urdu by Dr. Fakir Muhammad Saib about Ayatul Kursi. And about Ayatul Kursi is supreme verses within the entire Quran, and therefore it's known as Azamul Ayat, supreme verses. And Mawla Ali alayhi salam said, Mawla Ali alayhi salam said that I have not slept without reading Ayatul Kursi every night. So you can just imagine the significance and the importance, the spiritual attributes, and there are immense blessing in reciting Ayatul Kursi. So with our Ismaili perspective and the esoteric perspective, the question is why Ayatul Kursi is known as Azumul Ayat, supreme verses. And there are many reasons. And one reason which we find in the Ismaili literature is that because the living name of Allah is mentioned in this verse, in these verses like Allahu la ilaha illa, who al Hayyul Qayyum. So Hayyul Qayyum is the living name of Allah. So that is one reason. And there are many other reasons which we can find in the Ismaili literature. So with this inspiration, because I got so much spiritual happiness and joy by listening each one of you. So I would like to start this session with the recitation of Ayatul Kursi. And my humble submission to every one of you is that once you learn from Nevin Saiba the Arabic, and you are very comfortable with Arabic recitation, then please make a next step to memorize this Ayatul Kursi, the entire Ayatul Kursi. So when you will memorize it, you can, recite every day. You can recite, one time, 7 times, however you like. Just personally, I'm just sharing, my experience that, I at least recite every day once, but, I feel that I should recite more. The reason is to feel happiness, spiritual happiness, gain intellectual, happiness, and to gain ta'id of the imam of the time from this particular verse. So let's start with that, with everyone's prayers and Allah's blessing. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم صدق الله العلي العظيم. Shukrillah, alhamdulillah, Ya Mawla, help us in our acquisition of knowledge. Ya Mawla, we seek your special ta'id and tawfiq, Khudawan, to understand this esoteric knowledge and to articulate this knowledge to our spiritual brothers and sisters. Ya Mawla, we all are same in this journey of acquiring knowledge. Ya Khudawan, we seek your special tawfiq, ta'id, himmat and yari. Ya Khudawan, resolve all the difficulties of all the Ismaili Jamaat around the world. Ya Mawla, those departed souls who have reached in your huzur, Mawla, bless them with your zahiri, batini, and nurani didar. Ya Khudawan, today we are starting this new book of Allāmah Buzrugwar. Ya Khudawan, help us with your special Rahmat Khudawan that we can understand the inner meanings, the esoteric meanings hidden in this book, Khudawan. Ya Khudawan, please accept our humble supplication and Girya Huzari in your huzur. Shukranillah walhamdulillah. Shukranillah. So let me share the book here. So today with Maula's blessing, we are going to start this book, Treasure of Knowledge, part one, which is Treasure of Knowledge in Urdu. It's Ilmi Khazana. So this is the book which is by Alāmah Buzrugwar Damat Fuizatuhu, and it's translated by scholar and Al'waiz Lakhani. And it's under the supervision of Dr. Bahrul Uloom, Dr. Faqih Muhammad Hunzai Sahib, and Al'waiz Rashidan Muhammad Hunzai Sahiba. And if the dedication is done, and those who have done sponsor this book, respected Mehdi Ali, Qasim Ali, Dhanji, and their family. So which you can please read that in your time. And in reference to acknowledgement, this book particularly, as I mentioned, by Azim Ali Lakhani, our scholar of Khana Hikmat. Azim has translated two more parts of this particular book, part 2 and part 3. And he expressed his gratitude to Dr. Sahib and Rashida Saiba and those contributed in completing this particular book. And what I also want to mention that those who can read Urdu, in Urdu, the name of the book is, as mentioned here, it's Ilmi Khazana. So in Ilmi Khazana, you will find all 5 parts. It's Panj Makala. Panj Makala, that was a previous name of this book. Sorry, the original name, and then later on it was changed to Ilmi Khazana. And in Ilmi Khazana, in Urdu, you will find all the 5 sections of that particular book. And we will start by reading this first chapter, which is on, and if we can look at the table before we look into the first chapter, which is forward. We can look at the table of content here. It's very, very interesting that in table of content, some of the very, very interesting topics we have, which inshallah, by Maula's blessing and everyone's prayers, we will complete that. And it's a very, very exciting to read this book and many other books which we have in our Ismaili literature. So the great names of God, the rope of God, and piety, the philosophy of belief, aqidah, fundamental realities of Islam, and then we have the index over here. So before we start the forward, of this forward we read, I just want to mention a couple of points here. It's one thing is that, once Allāmah Sahib gave this example that my literature or what I have written for the Jamaat, it's like the blood. So we all know that what is the function of the blood in the human body. Blood is very, very important. And through the blood circulation and through the blood, our complete existence and our strength and power and our quwwat and everything is through the blood. So that analogy which Allāmah Sahib gave through the blood, basically that analogy is for spiritual strength, you would say, or spiritual purity or spiritual maturity we can get through the knowledge of, through ilmul yaqeen. That's the knowledge of certainty. So that's the example once he gave, and that example we can also apply to the Ginans of our peers and the Ismaili literature which we have, because that is the source of our spiritual strength, that all our doubts will vanish through reading these books and other books of our peers and dais that will help us. And through that, we will advance in our spiritual journey. And as we said in the Ginan, that Iji lakh lochana ginani, that the knowledge has 100 perspectives, 100,000 perspectives, that eyes. So what is the meaning of lakh lochana ginani? Januar Napar. So that is actually indicating and alluding to this idea that the knowledge has spiritual knowledge, and the esoteric meanings has many layers of meanings which we need to understand. And the other point which I want to mention before we start reading, the other point is that remember, if you can remember, I shared it from Maulana Hafiz Imam's Kampala speech, 2007, and I have shared that reference, which will be posted in the Global Lectures websites, Sunday Global Lectures website, in which Maulana Hafiz Imam talked about the intellectual humility. And then Maula said that what you do not know, what you don't know, it's better than what you know. And then Maula talked about the four A's. One is acquisition and agility, and then adventurous, and then anticipation. So you can read that. You can read that section of the speech by going to either AKDN website or nanowisdoms.com or ismaililiterature.com. You will find that particular speech. So Allāmah Sahib once said that to learn about the spirituality of the Quran, or to learn about the spirituality of Ismaili religion, your umar, your age, our time in this life is not enough. So you can just imagine how much more we all need to learn, and not only to learn, but also to put into practice in our faith, in our remembrance and zikr, and learning the Quran as you all are learning today, Ayatul Kursi. That's the part of that's the zikr also. We are engaging in zikr by learning the Quran, by learning certain and the key Quranic verses and Quranic chapters. We are engaging in zikr, we are engaging in knowledge, and that's what it is, very, very significant. So let's start with this Maula's name. We can start with this particular chapter, and if I can kindly ask the volunteer to please come forward.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Book Study Treasure of Knowledge, Part 1. Ebook page 1, forward. Infinite and boundless gratitude to God, the everlasting Qayyum, the omnipotent Qadir, for He accepts the insignificant service for knowledge from humble servants like us. Even if we prostrate till our last breath in gratitude to the Lord of the world for this huge bounty and great favor, the smallest fraction of the debt would not be repaid. It is evident from the name 5 articles, Panch Makala, that this book is just a collection of 5 essays. But in my opinion, each topic in this book is extremely important, beneficial, wisdom-filled, and comprehensive. For this reason, it would not be wrong to say that each article is a huge book in its own right. However, it is the readers who, by their comments, determine the value and worth of the book. The first article in the book, Panchmakala Part 1, speaks about the realities and recognitions of the great names of God, Asma'ul Husna, in the light of the Holy Quran. In this article, answers to thousands of questions are present and available for those moments who possess intellect and knowledge and use rectitude and guidance. It is so because when it is accepted that the supreme name of God is present as the perfect man among the people of the world, then many logical conclusions can be drawn and numerous problems can be solved. The second article is the rope of God, which is a Tawili subject of the Holy Quran, and with the help of its wisdoms, which are explained here, many realities of the glorious Quran can become clear, provided divine help and guidance are received. The third article is piety, and its importance is that it is the essence of all Islamic worship and matters. It is true that piety has been of prime importance and is required from the very beginning. That is, the purpose of piety was addressed in the invitations and shariats of all prophets. Thus, writing on this topic and placing it here in this book was extremely important. The fourth article is the philosophy of belief. It is required because most of the people of the world do not understand the importance of belief, and due to this reason, they have gone far outside the circle of religion and are roaming in the desert of atheism. Today, they have lost the peace of heart and the hope for tomorrow. Due to this great universal danger, it is incumbent upon every true Momin to understand some fundamental concepts of the philosophy of belief. The fifth article is Fundamental Realities of Islam, in which 40 important points are mentioned, and in my opinion, each point comprises multiple answers for the wise people, provided that they ponder and reflect upon them. This is so because the essence of meaning and purport is obtained only by pondering and reflecting. After this short introduction, I must record my gratitude to all knowledge-nurturing people for the diverse support they have rendered. These people live in different places of the Ismaili world. Their far-reaching eyes greatly value knowledge, and they always strive hard to spread the light of knowledge. The food for their souls and intellects is knowledge, recognition, zikr, and worship. Their most favorite hobby is to study religious books, and by doing so, they enhance the repository of their religious knowledge day by day. In this way, their spiritual progress is assured. All their doubts have vanished, and as a result, they receive divine mercies and blessings day and night. Humble servant, Allāmah Sahib Naṣīruddin Naṣīr Hunzai, Sunday, 6th Ramadan, 1397 AH, 21st August 1977.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. So I believe that Narmeen Saiba, right?
Mumtaz.
Oh, sorry, Mumtaz. Okay. So if I can ask you, how did you feel after reading this, or what picture you have in mind about what we are going to learn, or what are you feeling, or your thoughts?
What am I feeling?
Yes.
I'm really feeling overwhelmed because this is like so much is there, and like initially when I read, like each book is like a treasure in itself. To me, I think each word over here is a treasure in itself. So I'm just very speechless. I can't express myself, but I'm really looking forward to this, diving into this treasure.
Yes. Thank you, Saiba. That was really beautiful to hear your thoughts. And sure, by the end of this session, I would love to hear from our other Ilmi friends. So please do share your thoughts. And as we can see that Al'waiz Saib gave us like a brief summary of what we are going to learn in this particular book. And it's divided into, as Al'waiz Saib mentioned, like five sections. And the first article is about the realities and recognition of the great names of God. And the second one is about the rope of God. And the third one is the piety. And the fourth one is about the philosophy of belief. And the fifth one is about the fundamental realities of Islam. So these are the five key concepts which we are going to discuss. And we are going to read, which Al'waiz Saib has explained. But before we go to the first chapter, the great names of God, let us just look at some of the words and some of the advices that Al'waiz Saib gave, that in order for us to better understand some other chapters. Like, for example, as Al'waiz Saib mentioned, the essence of meaning and purport is obtained only by pondering and reflecting. That what we read in the Quran, in the Hadith, it's very important that we reflect. And therefore, in the Quran, we find many Quranic verses. And one Quranic verse, in which is from Surah number 51, ayat number 20 and 21, in which Allah says that there are signs in the external world, in afaq, and there are signs in the internal world, anfus, within yourself. And then Allah asks this rhetorical question: will you not see? So that's what the significance of reflecting within ourselves and within the external world. And therefore, Al'waiz Saib explained in many of his books and his wisdom-filled lectures that the personal world, our inner world, is the place of learning, of teaching. So if we pay attention to our personal world, what we read and we seek and we do Girya Huzari in the Huzur of Mawla, and we ask for knowledge, then he will create the means and ways for us. So of course that our knowledge we acquire through the books, through Ismaili literature, that is completely important, you know. And then inshallah, in our lifetime, in our we will reach to that level that we can also have direct knowledge given to us through Mawla, which is known as ilm ladunni, the atai ilm, or the knowledge which is given knowledge. So we can come to that level, and to come to that level, as we all know, that we need to do a lot of hard work to go through that, to come to that level. And might be we can have some reflection, during our lifetimes. We will have some reflection, and that we get some ta'id and some new points, when we are reading something. So that can be possible, even though if we have not completely reached to that level, to the highest level, but we can still have some reflections during our lifetimes as we do more hard work. And therefore, Allama Buzurgwar said that whatever you have learned and whatever zikr and knowledge you have acquired in your childhood, that would be beneficial in your young age. And whatever you have acquired in your young age, and zikr you have done, or ibadat you have done, and esoteric knowledge you have acquired, that will be beneficial in your old age. And then what you do in that age, that will be beneficial in the life hereafter, in the spiritual life. So that is just one example Allāmah Bazugar gave in his talk, which just I wanted to share. And another point, which is, of course, very important, that is related to the fourth article, the philosophy of belief, that our faith, our firm faith on Imam of the time, and our obedience and our allegiance. And therefore, once Maulana Haz Imam said in one farman, I would paraphrase, that Imam said that your life would be less than a dust, that if you don't have a faith. So that is, of course, we are just speaking in a general sense, and for those members of the Jamaat, those who are weak, we can, help them and to make them, strong, support them, talk to them if they have some confusions about our faith. We can clarify to them, and we can, help them, because Alhamdulillah, we are gaining this esoteric knowledge. So now we need to give the sound of this knowledge. What is the meaning of giving the sound of knowledge? Of course, there is one level of the sound is up to our earning, that 12.5% we give to the Imam, that is at the level of our earning. But then the next level of the sound is coming from the knowledge, that what knowledge we have acquired, the esoteric knowledge, the knowledge of ilmul yaqeen, we share some portion of that knowledge with the members of the Jamaat, according to their understanding, according to their knowledge, according to their standards, so we can clarify some of their misunderstanding and their doubts about our faith, or any other questions they may have. And therefore, remember, there's a Quranic verse in which Allah says, and that Quranic verse, the gist of that Quranic verse is that save yourself and your family from the fire of hell. What is the meaning of that? And the hell symbolizes as ignorance and not having a true knowledge. So that's the responsibility given to each one of us, that we play our role in helping the members of the Jamaat, to provide them the knowledge of certainty with the primary resources, which we have learned, then we can share with them. So these are some of the thoughts I thought to share with you. And we can go to the next one, the great names of God. So we can read up to 8 points, and then after that we can move forward with the next points.
The great names of God. Point 1, quote, and to God belong the beautiful names, al-Asma'ul Husna, so call on him by them, unquote. Surah 7, Ayat 180. Point 2, Imam Jafar as-Sadiq has said, quote, we the Imams are the beautiful names of God, and without our recognition, no person's deeds will be accepted, unquote. Point 3, here it becomes evident that God's names are of two kinds, verbal names and luminous names. God's luminous names, or his great names, are the pure Imams through whom we are commanded to invoke him. Point 4, in the light of the above-mentioned Quranic verse, Surah 7, Ayat 180, remember that the supreme name of God, whose recognition is essential with respect to the time and age, is the Imam of the time. Point number 5, there is no classification in God's essence and attributes because he is the one in all respects. However, the difference lies in expressing and explaining his attributes through different meanings and things. Moreover, the requirements of space and time are also taken into consideration. Point number 6. Thus, compared to the verbal names, the luminous names of God are his great names, Asma-e-Azam, who are the prophets and the imams. In this context, the imam of the time is God's supreme name, Ism-e-Azam, in the present time. Point number 7. This shows that some names of God are silent, Samat, and some are speaking, Natik, and the speaking names are those who guide and give salvation. Point number 8. The divine throne is living. The divine pen is living. The divine pedestal is living. And so is the divine tablet. In short, everything that belongs to God is living, speaking, and rational, because the example used for God is supreme, such as when it is said, quote, God's hand, unquote, it is an example and it is supreme in the sense that the prophet and the imam are designated as God's hand. Similarly, God's face also symbolizes the same reality, that is, prophet and imam.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. The great names of God. And this Quranic reference, which we have related to Asmaul Husna, that to call God through his beautiful name, the Asmaul Husna. And Asma means names, and Husna means beautiful name, beautiful. So beautiful names. And if you may recall the saying of the Irshad and the Farman of Mawla Ali alayhi salam, in which Mawla Ali alayhi salam said that Ana Asmaul Husna, I am the beautiful names of God. And this is this whole all these points are taking to the fundamental principle of the principle and the centrality of imamat, and which is very very perennial. And perennial means like continuous and everlasting. And therefore that it's important. And Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam said that we imams are the beautiful names of God, and without our recognition, no person's deed will be accepted. So imam's recognition is very, very significant. And therefore, if you read the Shimmering Light book by Dr. Fakir Sahib, in that book you will find many poetries of our dais and peers, and their kalam you will find in that book. And by one dai, I couldn't recall the name right now, but in that particular book you would find that one of the dais said that if one has no recognition of the imam, then his head on his shoulder is not lawful for that person. You can just, imagine how important the recognition of the imam is, significant that we have the recognition through knowledge and through ibadat, just not the ordinary recognition, but recognition at the higher level. And then we have this, Al'waiz Sahib explained about the names of Allah are basically at two levels, right? Compared to the verbal names, and then the Asma-e-Izam, who are the prophets and the Imam. So remember, if we discuss this verbal names and the luminous names, that lafzi name and those, or jo ki zinda asma hai, that's what we discuss in the book Hakiki Didar, to True Vision. So verbal names are what we find, like 99 names of Allah and all other names. But the luminous names are the Nurani names, or the luminous names are they are always alive and present. And Prophet in his time, all the prophets in in their times. They were the luminous names of God, and today the present and the living Imam is the luminous name of God. And if you look at the wisdom number 4, in the light of the above mentioned Quranic verse, Surah 7, Ayat 180, remember that the supreme name of God, whose recognition is essential with respect to the time and age, is the Imam of the time. And you can also recall when Maulana Hazrat Imam came to Central Asia in 1995, first time the Farman Imam made, that first Farman Imam made in 1995. So let me just, read that Farman, which you will find this in this book, the recognition of Imam. Please recite the salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Imam made this farman in Moscow, Russia, 29 January 1995. First, let me remind you that for all murids of the Imam, whether they are from Central Asia, from India, from Pakistan, from the Western world, the fundamental principle is the recognition of the Imam of the time. So that's what it's very significant. And if we look at the on point number 7, we learned about that the names of God are Samit, silent, and some are speaking Natik. And the speaking names are those who guide and give salvation. And some of the other attributes of God apply to the Imam, like God's hand, and then a face of Allah. All that would apply to the Prophet and the Imam. So let's go to point 9 through 14.
Point number 9. In the light of the above mentioned words, who can benefit from the supreme name of God? Can it be accessible to all or not? Point number 10. What does it mean when God says, call God by his beautiful names? Does it mean that whoever does not recognize his real name will be ignored? Point number 11. Is it true that the Prophet and the Imam are the real names of God? Therefore, he should be called through them and recourse should be taken to him through them? Point number 12. It is true that God's supreme name and God's vicegerent cannot be two separate things. Had it been so, both these ranks would have been incomplete and imperfect. That is, the supreme name would not have the attributes of God's vicegerency, and his vicegerent would not have been his supreme name. Point number 13. How logical is the point that the Prophet and Imam of the time, who can be God's vicegerent, can also be his supreme name? Further, since his vicegerency is possible, then the vicegerency of his names is even more so. Point number 14. From the time of Hazrat Adam's appointment as the divine vicegerent, this magnificent office continues in the holy chain of the prophets and the imams. It has never been mentioned that God's vicegerency is the responsibility of the heavenly book or of the house of God, Baitullah, or that one of the angels is God's vicegerent. Thus, it is evident that the office of vicegerency is not separate from prophethood and imamat. Hence, the perfect man, who sometimes manifests as a prophet and sometimes as an imam, is also the supreme name of God.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. Yeah, a lot of points to reflect on, and of course, more we read, we try to find some new points there. So here we have some questions that we should think about, and then how would we answer that? Like question we have question in point 9, in point 10, and then point 11 also. So the question we have in the light of the above mentioned words, who can benefit from the supreme name of God? Can it be accessible to all or not? So what do you think that, what should be the answer for that? And I'm sure you would say this, that it cannot be accessible to all, but only accessible to those who have done the bayat of the Imam of the time. They can able to access that, and they can able to understand a higher level of spirituality, because they are connected with the Imam, and because they are at the level of hakikat. And those who are not at that level, it is not accessible to them. And therefore, we Ismailis are very fortunate that we are connected with that light. And that's what it's referring to. That's what Allāmah Sahib is talking about, that the supreme name of God is basically, it's the Imam of the time. And those who are connected to the Imam of the time, they can experience and they have this benefit of having all the bounties, all the spiritual bounties and the physical bounties in our lives. So the next question is, what does it mean when God says, call God by his beautiful names? Does it mean that whoever does not recognize his real name will be ignored? So of course that those um, who do not, recognize his real name will not come into this category where they will get benefits of gaining the spiritual progress or advancing in the spiritual journey, quicker and at the higher level than those people in other at other levels, at the lower levels. And then is it true that the Prophet and the Imam are the real names of God? Therefore, he should be called through them, and recourse should be taken to him through them. So answer would be, of course, you all would say yes, because remember we studied that Quranic verse in which Allah talks about wasila, that to reach to Allah, we have to go through the wasila. And the Prophet and the Imam, they are the wasila, or the intermediary of God. And of course, it's more than intermediary. As we study more, we find that in the Ismaili literature. And so these are some of the questions Allāmah Sahib asked. So we can reflect on that, and we can think about it. And then we have this point of vicegerent, how important it is to understand that God's vicegerent can also be his supreme name. As Allāmah Sahib said, how logical is the point that Prophet and the Imam of the time, who can be God's vicegerent, can also be his supreme name. Since his vicegerency is possible, then the vicegerency of name is even more so. So here, basically, whoever is the vicegerent on earth, like for example, if we just can take the example of Hazrat Adam alayhi salam. So Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, he was the vicegerent of God on earth by Imam Hunayd. Imam Hunayd appointed him as the prophet, Hazrat Adam. So Hazrat Adam was not only the vicegerent, but at that time, he was also the supreme name of God. So in every time, every prophet and every imam is the supreme name of God. So for example, in the time of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah alayhi salam, he was the supreme name of God, the living, and today the present and the living imam. Even though all the imams, because the noor is same, we can say that they all are the supreme names of God. But in terms of continuity, in terms of when we talk about the present time, then in the present time, the living imam is also considered as the supreme name of Allah. And therefore, if you can recall that in the parliament speech Maulana Imam distinguishes between the Shia and Sunni sect. And then, Imam said the Ismailis are the only community led by the living and the present Imam. So the next topic is about the rope of guard, and inshallah we will do it in the next session. But what I would like everyone to please reflect on some of the questions while you are reading this book, Rope of Guard, this chapter. What is the meaning of Mamsul and what is the meaning of Misal? And and why? What would be some of the inner aspects which you find in some other books of Allāmah Sahib? Because Allāmah Sahib had explained the rope of God in some of his other books. So it would be helpful if you can maybe read 1 or 2 pages from his other books in which he has also explained it. So first read this chapter, the rope of God. Just read up to wisdom. I would say let's look at how many wisdom we have. So we have like total 15. So read up to 9 wisdom. Inshallah, we will cover. Or go ahead and read up to 15 wisdom, and then inshallah we will try to cover up as much as we can in the next session. And Alhamdulillah, with Allah's blessing, I was able to share some points, and I hope that it was helpful. And inshallah, we all will do our own personal journey and our own personal search to try to connect the dots and try to understand its more inner and esoteric meanings. So thank you so much for everyone's attention and everyone's presence. Yeah,
Subhanallah, subhanallah. Beautifully explained. It is the most important part, I think, that we consistently reflect on and refer back to is the recognition of the Imam of the time. And I think all of the points were getting us to think about how do we understand these concepts of that Imam is that living name of Allah in this world, and how do we reconcile that concept within these points. If you can shed a little bit more light on the point number 8, where it says the divine throne is living, the divine pen is living, the divine pedestal is living, and divine tablet is also living. How do we understand this?
yes, sure. I would try to explain that. And it's a divine throne. So in the Ismaili literature, as we find that Arsh, it's basically that Arsh is it's aklikul, and it goes to that meaning goes to the imam of the time. And these are all other different perspectives, like for the prophet and the imam. Then we have law and qalam, that is also to the for the prophet and the imam. And these all are the examples that we try to connect, and we find the references in the Ismaili literature. For example, the Ayatul Kursi, which we are learning. In the Ayatul Kursi, we also find about Arsh, and then the Kursi is for Nafse Kul. And then within this hierarchy, which we find in the Hudud-e-Din, but today that hierarchy in the Hudud-e-Din, it applies to the Imam of the time. But definitely to articulate further, I would definitely look into it more, so I can bring some more references for our Ilmi friends, so they can make a more connection, and they can able to have a better picture of this particular point.
Ameen. Another question friend has in point number 9, it's inclusive for the whole humanity. Allah's mercy encompasses for all. Can you please expand a little bit more on that?
Which number is
Number 9.
It's number 9 on the same one. Okay. It can be accessible to all. That's the one, right?
Ji.
Or not?
Allah's mercy encompasses on all. Nermeen Saba, if you want to just guide us, is that the point number 9 you're talking about?
Oh no, I think it's a different one.
Yes, it's point number 9. I just thought that Allah's mercy is like the sun, right? The sun rays goes to everybody. So Allah is merciful, and so I think from what I'm thinking, from what you explained, that it's accessible to all of us, irrespective of what faith we are, and it also calls for we are one humanity. That's
Yeah.
how I'm reading it, but I could be sidetracked.
Yeah. So definitely Allah's mercy is there for the entire humanity. That is, it's there. But remember that though within that, those who are connected with the living light of Allah, connected with the vicegerent of God, they are at the higher level. Their level is higher than those who are not to that level.
I see.
With that point, you have to understand. Therefore, we often recite this Quranic verse that Rafiu darajati zul arsh, that, oh Lord, increase our rank. So within, entire humanity, not all people are at the same level. So
Thank you.
our level will be determined according to our understanding and our, deeds. Right? So, for example, I'm just sharing with utmost humility, utmost ajizi and humbleness that, Ismailis are at the higher level in spirituality because they are connected with the Imam from all other people. Of course, Allah's mercy is for everyone, but within that mercy, those who are connected with the divine and the living light, Allah's mercy is more for those people. It's kind of higher for them because they have accepted that light.
Thank you so much.
Yes? Oh.
I mean, next question is, what examples are there for Samit names, the silent names?
So Samit means like silent, right? So like all the names which you can see on the book or on the paper, that would be the example of silent name. Like the 99 names of Allah. They are written on the book, or you have it in your mind. It's just silent. But the speaking, the Natik means the speaking name of Allah would be, because, Hazrat Ali said that Ana Asmaul Husna, I'm the beautiful name of Allah. So today, Imam Ali of the time, Hazimam is the speaking name of Allah because he's present, Hazir and Mawjood amongst us. So Imam would be the example of the Natik name of Allah, speaking name of Allah.
Subhanallah. So all the 99 names which are written on the book is...
They are Samit, they are silent.
Subhanallah.
They are silent or they are lafzi names, But the Imam is the speaking name, the luminous name of God.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Next question is, the friend is asking, in point 14, if you can explain this line, it has never been mentioned that God's vicegerency is the responsibility of the heavenly book or of the house of God, Baytullah, or that
Yes.
one of the angel is God's vicegerent.
Yes, that's a very important point, and thank you for bringing that point. As Al'waiz have explained, that God's vicegerency is it's the responsibility. It's never been the responsibility of a heavenly book or the house of God, Baytullah. So the vicegerent's responsibility is basically to the it's going from the prophet, and after the in the time of Nabuwat, it was the cycle of prophethood, and after the cycle of prophethood, it will be the time of cycle of imamat. So the vicegerent, the Khalifa, is connected. It's not connected to a book or not connected to an angel. The vicegerent or Khalifa would be the living person who would be divinely inspired, and is, as we have in the Ismaili constitution, Nas, this as Imam mentioned, this designation. So that's what we can read in the Ismaili preamble, that what we find. So it's something which is living, and something which has a divine light and divine knowledge. That's what the Prophet had, and after the Prophet, Maula Murtazali, and from Maula Murtazali, his progeny, that divine light and divine knowledge transferred to the next Imam.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. The friend is asking, how would we classify the names associated with nature? And I asked her if she can elaborate a little bit more or give an example. So if you want to come forward and just ask the question about names associated with nature. Yes, have anything comes to
So
you?
I would think that there are some of the attributes we can look into that, where like we find this hadith in which Allah says that Allahu Jamilun Yuhibbul Jamal, that Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. So a beauty that again, that beauty is connected to the Prophet and the Imam, because the spiritual beauty comes through the Imam to us, because he's the source for us. So that's how maybe we can make a connection. So when all the attributes are in the Imam, basically all the 99 names of Allah which we have, they are basically in the Imam. They are actually living in the Imam at one sense. They are silent, but at the other level, they all are living in the Imam, because when Prophet said that I am Asmaul Husna, I'm the beautiful name of Allah, then we find the next perspective. The next perspective is, the next inner meaning is that all the 99 names are basically alive, Zinda, in Imam's sacred personality.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. And I think the friend actually responded that nature, like sun and the oceans, we can connect it like, with the Allah's creation, because you did mention about afak and anfus verse. So if we are reflecting on these things, that these are the signs of recognizing of the Imam of the time as well. Would you say that?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, you really beautifully bring that point, and that would be absolutely right.
Shukran, alhamdulillah. One of the friend actually has a very beautiful comment that the vicegerent brings the ta'wil and ta'lim to the followers through his divinely inspired knowledge. Shukran, alhamdulillah. Couple friends have questions about Ayatul Kursi, so we will hold on to those questions, and we will inshallah request one of our scholars, Riyaz Sahib, Niamat Sahiba, or Sultanuddin Sahib, to maybe do a session about Ayatul Kursi, inshallah, in future. And we can definitely save these questions and inshallah respond to those in future. Any other question related to the content which we read today? If any friend would like to come forward and share your reflection or any comments, you can come forward.
Yes, so I believe someone, okay, yes, it was Nizari Kohistani. Yes, thank you, Moisai, for bringing that reference. So please read Nizari Kohistani, Sayyidina Nizari Kohistani's kalam in this book, Shimmering Light, which is a IIS publication.
It is the title of the poem is The One Above Them All, and it is on page number 91 in Shimmering Lights.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the verse is, if you do not know the Imam of the time with certitude, then know for sure that your wife, your wealth, and even the head upon your shoulders are unlawful to you.
Okay.
Inshallah. So thank you, Riyaz Sahib, for beautifully, talking about all of these points. And inshallah, we look forward to our next session for the rope of God. Thank you so much for sharing your time and knowledge with us. And thank you, friends, for joining. Inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow, and we will continue to learn the Nazm, Ya Mazhar-e Noor-e Khuda, which we started last week. So friends can join, and inshallah, we will start at 7:45 to learn the Nazm and Sultanuddin Sahib's session at 8:15, just like today. Thank you once again, Riyaz Sahib. Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali.
Mawla Ali Madad. Thank you, everyone.
Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad.
Thank you, Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.
Mawla Ali
Thank
Madad.
you.
Yali Madad.
Mawla
Ya
Ali.
Ali Madad.
Thank you,
Yali
Ya
Madad.
Madad.
Yali
Thank you for
Madad.
sharing your knowledge.
Mawla Ali Madad.
Yali
You're
Madad.
welcome.
Thank you, Yali Madad.
Yeah,
Mawla
Madad, thank you.
Ali.
Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad.
Mawla Ali.